Coming up on today's San Francisco 49ers report, we're going to rock out with our Brock out. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself, but you could blame Brock Purdy because what he continues to do is absolutely special for the San Francisco 49ers offense. He is silencing the detractors, he is silencing the naysayers, and he is shutting down the narratives that he is not a legit quarterback in this league, and the numbers back that up as well as the eye test. We're going to break that down on today's show. Thanks for hanging out here with us. First, though, we want to thank the faithful for supporting the show during our watch party on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. More than 100,000 views, a bunch of super chats that came in. We surpassed 104,000 subscribers. So if you're out there and you want to be a part of the faithful movement here at Chat Sports, and you want Niners shows every single day that are informative, entertaining, and insightful, the solution for you to fill your cup with Niners talk is easy. Just hit that subscribe button right now. I do want to give a shout out to our sponsor really quickly. It is Factor Meals, the #1 meal delivery service in the United States, and they have a great deal for all of you. 50% off if you go to factormeals.com/NinersChat50. During this holiday season, we don't have a lot of time to go food shopping, to do a lot of meal prepping, and you can skip all of that in addition to all of the chopping and all of the preparations with Factor. 50% off factormeals.com/NinersChat50. You can pick your prepaid meals. They are prepped and cooked to perfection. All you have to do, stick them in the microwave for a couple of minutes. You heat them up and you enjoy them. There are protein-heavy options. There are vegetarian options. There are options for you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can choose from 35-plus chef-curated meals that are healthy and support a healthy lifestyle. I need that. Shoot, I ran 13 miles, a half marathon for Brock Purdy last Friday. Video coming out this week on the San Francisco 49ers report. I can't be eating junk food, otherwise I couldn't run a half marathon. I could thank Factor for keeping me fit. 50% off using that link at the bottom of your screen. Smash that link. It's available for you in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. So we've done a couple of these shows here throughout this season on Brock Purdy. And it's time to do another one because their performances continue to get better and better and better. And it really is hard to wrap your mind around what Brock Purdy is doing right now because what he is doing in this level of play is insane. Purdy among all quarterbacks going into this week's game, Week 15, against the Arizona Cardinals. Passer rating, he is #1. Completion percentage, he is #1. Touchdowns per attempt, atop all quarterbacks in the National Football League. Yards per attempt, numero uno. Yards per completion, also #1. And Brock Purdy in the process, with the play, with the numbers, with the eye test, with the way that he's been playing, the way that the Niners are winning, the way that this offense is humming, with him leading the charge, Brock Purdy is silencing all of the negative narratives out there about him. And this is really how Brock Purdy is able to silence the detractors and shut down the narratives. Some people like to say, Brock Purdy doesn't have a strong arm. Brock Purdy is only good because of the system and the offensive talent and the weapons that he has. Kyle Shanahan elevates him. The job of a quarterback is to execute. The job of a quarterback is to be accurate. The job of a quarterback is to put up numbers, win games, and win games big. Brock Purdy is checking off all of those boxes. And you want to tell me that Brock Purdy is only benefiting from a good supporting cast? Upper echelon quarterbacks, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, John Elway, the greats of all time, as the list goes on and on and on, they're able to have success at all three levels of the field, short, intermediate, long. They're able to have success from sideline to sideline, outside of the numbers, in between the hash marks. They're also able to have success against multiple different looks. And teams have tried to stop this 49ers offense. The Seattle Seahawks on Sunday, with the way that they schemed things up, wanted to take away the intermediate area of the field. What did Brock Purdy do? He threw the long ball. Teams all year have tried to drop back in zone or man. Teams all year have tried to send the house at Brock Purdy to try to force him into making a mistake. But Brock Purdy, like the greats do, has been able to be exceptional against the blitz. And among all quarterbacks against the blitz this year, Purdy has thrown for 1,529 yards. That's first among all quarterbacks. His 9.9 yards per attempt also ranks number 1. His 14 touchdowns against the blitz is also number 1. And then his rating, 127.9, is also number 1. Now, teams might look at these numbers after watching the show, and they might say, we got to drop back in coverage here. That's when I have confidence in Kyle Shanahan to scheme things up with his play designs, pre-snap and post-snap, and for Brock Purdy to improvise, to have the level of anticipation, to throw guys open to beat any type of coverage. And that's why the San Francisco 49ers team is clicking right now. How about on throws of 20-plus yards? You want to tell me that Brock Purdy has a noodle arm? That Brock Purdy can't throw the long ball? After watching Jimmy Garoppolo for the last few years, it is safe to say that Brock Purdy has brought a different element to this Niners offense. How about these numbers on throws of 20-plus yards for all the haters out there? Brock Purdy, very efficient once again. 27 of 41, 860 yards, 9 touchdowns, 1 pick, and a rating of 138.5. But I thought that Brock Purdy only threw checkdowns, crossers, and slants. I thought that Brock Purdy's yards, all of them, came after the catch because of how good Kittle, Ayuk, and Debo are in the open field. Brock Purdy is a checkdown merchant. How about this? Percentage of passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. Brock Purdy ranks 29th among all starting quarterbacks in the National Football League. Russell Wilson, he's kind of a checkdown artist. He's number 1, highest percentage of passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. Justin Fields, number 2. Joe Burrow, number 3. Tua Tagovailoa, number 4. Patrick Mahomes tied with them. Brock Purdy all the way down on that list at 29. It is not a bad thing to throw passes at or behind the line of scrimmage. Sometimes you can win those matchups, and you want to be able to get your football in the hands of your playmakers. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Joe Burrow, Tua, Patrick Mahomes, Brock Purdy. They all have these playmakers who they want to get out in space. But don't tell me that Brock Purdy is only throwing it on slants, crossers, can't throw the deep ball, is only throwing screens, and is only throwing passes at or behind the line of scrimmage, because that is simply false, and I'm proving you wrong right now. How about completion percentage on 20-plus yard passes? Brock Purdy might throw the deep ball, but it's because everybody's wide open. How about the dime that he threw in stride to Deebo Samuel on Sunday? Layering that football in to George Kittle. Trent Williams even said it after the game. His ability to layer balls over linebackers who are in a good position is a really special skill. And the completion percentage on 20-plus yard passes, Brock Purdy, 66%. Number 1 in the NFL. Ahead of C.J. Stroud, ahead of Tua, ahead of Dak Prescott, ahead of Jared Goff. Would you take Brock Purdy over all of these quarterbacks? The argument is there, and it's to be made that yes, you might do that. And then Purdy against Seattle. He became the 4th quarterback in NFL history with a completion percentage of 70% or higher in 7 consecutive games. So last year, Brock Purdy, regular season and playoffs, went 7-0. Now the San Francisco 49ers are 10-3 under his watch. We're talking about a pretty long sample size here where he's been very, very consistent. And in doing that, 7 consecutive games of 70% or higher, he joins elite company. The others to do it, Drew Brees 7 times, Sam Bradford did it 7 times, and Joe Montana did it 8 games in a row. I was listening to a clip. John Middlecoff, he's from the Bay Area, goes to a lot of Niner practices, former NFL scout. He was on Colin Cowherd's podcast as part of the Volume Network. He also has his own podcast there. Haberman and Middlecoff podcast is a good one if you want to tap into that for some more Niners content. He said that Brock Purdy to him, and he's been saying this for a bit, pretty much looks like a more athletic Drew Brees. Smaller in stature, very accurate. Brock Purdy, a much better athlete than Drew Brees, and right now has a stronger arm than Drew Brees. And what's crazy, too, about some of these Brock Purdy numbers is that he is now 2nd in the league in passing yards. And he's put together a lot of 300-plus yard performances, including that Seattle game. But he is 17th in passing attempts. Think about that. Second in passing yards with fewer opportunities. 17th in passing attempts. That right there is efficiency. So to really summarize today's show, Brock Purdy is a better athlete than given credit for. Brock Purdy and his arm strength are just fine. And his arm strength is better than what people give him credit for. He is not, contrary to lazy opinions out there from people who don't watch the games, a checkdown artist. He is not just a product of the system. He is legit. And if he was drafted in the same draft spot as Zach Wilson, people would be on their knees calling him the next coming. He's the next great one. But because he was Mr. Irrelevant, front offices out there are annoyed, pissed off, and wondering how they passed up on him and let him go to San Francisco. And they don't want to give him his flowers. But it's time for everybody out there to give him his flowers. And after watching today's show, how do you not? If you've been impressed by Purdy's play, make sure you hit that thumbs up icon right now and like the video. And as always, thank you for watching the San Francisco 49ers.